This evening, Rams Logistics faces 10 charges for false declarations. Businessman caught with uncustomed goods after attempting to flee. Police acted on tip. Bust Virgin Union woman trafficking teenager and marijuana. In the region, U.S. could ease Venezuela sanctions, allow Chevron to pump oil, Wall Street Journal. And internationally, armed depositors hold up more banks in Lebanon over restrictions. Welcome to another broadcast of Channel 2's Headline News Update. I am Bibi Bacchus. Thank you for joining us. A woman suspected of attempting to traffic a 14-year-old girl was nabbed at Bartica with 438 grams of marijuana found in a haversack she was carrying on Wednesday, October 6, 2022. According to a police report, around 1:30 p.m., police officers from Regional Division 7 went to Bartica after receiving information about a young person suspected of being trafficked. Ranks intercepted a 35-year-old housewife from Virgin Union, East Bank Essequibo, and a 14-year-old mixed-race girl from Tushin Housing Scheme, East Bank Essequibo, who had just gotten off an incoming speedboat. A search conducted on a brown haversack the 35-year-old woman was carrying unearthed a bulky parcel wrapped with black plastic and transparent tape containing several leaf seeds stems suspected to be cannabis. The woman was cautioned by the police, ranked, and admitted ownership of the suspected marijuana. The suspected narcotics was weighed in her presence and amounted to 438 grams. The woman was placed in custody. Meanwhile, the 14-year-old girl was interviewed regarding the trafficking information. She told authorities that she and the 35-year-old woman were friends. She said the woman told her that she was taking her to Blue Mountain Back Dam to work at a shop selling alcoholic beverages. Child Care and Protection was notified along with tip unit at CID headquarters, and an investigation is underway. The 14-year-old girl is currently with the Child Care and Protection Agency as investigations continues. An Enmore businessman who drove away from a police roadblock was subsequently arrested with a van load of contraband items. According to a police report, ranks from the Mahaika police station were conducting a roadblock in the vicinity of Unity Junction, East Coast Demerara, where random vehicles were stopped and searched on Wednesday, October 5, 2022. Around 4:45 p.m., a white and silver motor van GLL 987, driven by a 31-year-old businessman of Logwood, Enmore, East Coast Demerara, breached the roadblock and drove off at a fast rate of speed. This prompted the rank to give chase, and the motor van was intercepted at Logwood Enmore. A search of the vehicle conducted in the presence of the businessman unearthed a quantity of uncustomed goods in black plastic bags. The items seized were 11 boxes of Zenden brand mosquito coil containing 666 packets, 3 boxes of Atlanta cigarettes containing 150 cartons, and 2 boxes of red Ori cigarettes containing 100 cartons. The documents for the motor van were expired, and the driver was only licensed to drive a motor car. The driver and the van and the uncustomed goods were escorted to the Enmore police station, where the items were logged. The Guyana Revenue Authority was informed, and the man was placed in custody pending investigations. Following the conclusion of recent investigations, the Guyana Revenue Authority filed 10 charges against Rams Logistics Guyana Incorporated on Wednesday. According to GRA's Law Enforcement and Investigations Department, the investigation revealed that the business submitted several untrue declarations to the GRA from 2021 to 2022. This prompted GRA to file charges in the Georgetown Magistrates Court under the Customs Act, Chapter 8201. In a statement to the press, GRA noted that they are encouraging individuals and businesses participating in any illegal activity to stop openly disregarding the law, as it continues to operate within its mandate to provide a level playing field for enterprises and tax collection. The authority also asked these companies to bring their operations in line with Guyana's tax rate and border regulations. The case's specifics have not been made public. Rams Logistics Guyana Incorporated, with its parent firm in Trinidad and Tobago, was denied a local content certificate in June 2022. Earlier this year, it was claimed that a Trinidadian businessman of supposed Guyanese ancestry purchased 51% of the local company. The sale of the majority of the local logistics firm occurred shortly after Guyana's parliament passed new local content laws designed to protect the interests of Guyanese and Guyanese-owned enterprises in the developing local oil and gas sector. Sean Rampersad, the business's chairman at the time, told reporters that the company conformed with the provisions of the local content legislation. Stick around after the break. Police in Lethem seized a substantial amount of narcotics, and truck driver in Mandela Avenue accident was remanded to prison.
Maison Francois is the chocolate paradise of Guyana. From the moment you enter our stores, you're welcomed by the sweet aroma of Belgian chocolate, pastries, and other artisanal treats handmade by our European-trained chef. However, Maison Francois is more than just chocolate. We serve lunch, dinner, afternoon tea, and even Sunday morning mimosa brunch. Our convenient location at 133 Thomas Street, Kitty, makes it the perfect place to take that special someone or to take home a little sweetness. Treat yourself with the taste of Paris in the heart of Georgetown. Only at Maison Francois.
Good girl forget things.
What's the problem, Granny?
I want money for borrow for those surgery. I was dancing and I fall and fracture my hip.
If you need some quick money, you should check Lender's Jewelry and Pawn Shop.
Lender's Jewelry and Pawn Shop, Lot 238 South Road, Border, Georgetown. Get jewelry made to order in just 72 hours. We also accept vehicles. Lender's, best rates, longest payback period.
Boys, I get through. Plus, I could dance again.
Lender's Jewelry and Pawn Shop.
Sooner or later you will have another power failure. Are you prepared for the next blackout? Some essential equipment such as security cameras, lights, internet, gate motors, and water pumps may stop working. How can you prevent the next blackout? InverterTech has an affordable solution for you. A strong UPS system which uses the latest inverter and solar battery technology to prevent blackout. We smartly calculate your average power demand so you don't spend more than you need to. Call 223-2233 for more information.
When you need money and you gotta get it fast, Creative Jewelry and Pawn Shop is the place for that confidential transaction in a quiet and secure location. You'll get the highest value per pennyweight for your gold and also enjoy the lowest interest rates and longest payback period too. Yes, for that instant transaction to solve a pressing financial problem. That Creative Jewelry and Pawn Shop, 46 Boyle Place, that's between the Ministry of Housing on Brick Dam and White Castle Fish Shop. Be your first and only choice. Creative Jewelry and Pawn Shop, safe and sound, solid and secure, always there for you. Telephone 231-7878 and 223-8955.
Welcome back. Aslam Mahmoud, a truck driver who was involved in an accident that caused the death of businessman Nigel Kush, has pleaded guilty to causing death by dangerous driving when he appeared at the Georgetown Magistrates Court earlier today, Thursday, October 6th. Mahmoud, the 44-year-old truck driver who resides at Supply Mahaiku, East Coast, Demerara, appeared before Chief Magistrate Anne McLennan, where he pleaded guilty to the charge, which stated that on September 15, 2022, at Mandela Avenue in Georgetown, he drove motor lorry GYY 5875 in a manner dangerous to the public, causing the death of 45-year-old Kush. The court heard that Mahmoud was speeding at the time and ran the red light, colliding with the car driven by Kush. Kush's vehicle subsequently slammed into an electric pole, partly ejecting the businessman. He was pronounced dead on the spot. Mahmoud, after pleading guilty to the charge, apologized for his actions and admitted that he was speeding at the time of the accident. The entire incident was captured on nearby CCTV cameras. Ranks of the Ghana Police Force in Letem Region 9 on police patrol intercepted a vehicle and arrested a male with over 8,000 grams of marijuana and over 1,300 grams of cocaine in his possession at Letem during the early hours of this morning, October 6th. Police ranks, acting on information received, intercepted the vehicle just after midnight in Letem and conducted a search, which unearthed a significant amount of suspected marijuana and cocaine stashed inside the trunk of the vehicle. Reports say that ranks stopped motor vehicle PAB 3824 driven by 35-year-old Duan Johnson of Tabatinga Central, Rupununi. The other occupants in the vehicle were the driver's child mother and their 9-month-old son. A search conducted on his body turned up empty. However, ranks proceeded to search the vehicle and subsequently found a black haversack containing 13 bulky parcels in the trunk. In the presence of the driver and the female occupant of the car, the ranks proceeded to open all 13 parcels, which 11 parcels containing several leaves, seeds and stems suspected to be cannabis. The other 2 parcels contained a rock-like substance suspected to be cocaine. The driver was told of the offense committed, cautioned and admitted ownership. He was arrested and escorted to the Letem police station along with the suspected narcotics. The substances were tested positive for marijuana and cocaine. The illegal substance were weighed in the presence of Johnson. The marijuana amounted to 8,045 grams and the cocaine amounted to 1,314 grams. Johnson remains in custody as investigations are continuing. Don't go away after the break. Nigeria not ready to let go of its oil reserves, and Ukraine war. EU divided on welcoming Russian military deserters.
When you need money and you gotta get it fast, Creative Jewelry and Pawn Shop is the place for that confidential transaction in a quiet and secure location. You'll get the highest value per pennyweight for your gold and also enjoy the lowest interest rates and longest payback period too. Yes, for that instant transaction to solve a pressing financial problem. That Creative Jewelry and Pawn Shop, 46 Boyle Place, that's between the Ministry of Housing on Brickdam and White Castle Fish Shop, be your first and only choice. Creative Jewelry and Pawn Shop, safe and sound, solid and secure, always there for you. Telephone 231-7878 and 223-8955.
Sooner or later you will have another power failure. Are you prepared for the next blackout? Some essential equipment such as security cameras, lights, internet, gate motors, and water pumps may stop working. How can you prevent the next blackout? InverterTech has an affordable solution for you. A strong UPS system which uses the latest inverter and solar battery technology to prevent blackout. We smartly calculate your average power demand so you don't spend more than you need to. Call 223-2233 for more information.
Maison Francois is the chocolate paradise of Ghana. From the moment you enter our stores, you're welcomed by the sweet aroma of Belgian chocolate, pastries, and other artisanal treats handmade by our European-trained chef. However, Maison Francois is more than just chocolate. We serve lunch, dinner, afternoon tea, and even Sunday morning mimosa brunch. Our convenient location at 133 Thomas Street, Kitty, makes it the perfect place to take that special someone or to take home a little sweetness. Treat yourself with the taste of Paris in the heart of Georgetown. Only at Maison Francois.
Good girl forget things.
What's the problem, Granny?
I want money for borrow for those surgery. I was dancing and I fall and fracture my hip.
If you need some quick money, you should check Lender's Jewelry and Pawn Shop.
Lender's Jewelry and Pawn Shop, Lot 238 South Road Border, Georgetown. Get jewelry made to order in just 72 hours. We also accept vehicles. Lenders, best rates, longest payback period.
Boys, I get through. Plus, I could dance again.
Lender's Jewelry and Pawn Shop.
Hey, this is your fancy vehicle and that is your house?
Yes, this is my vehicle and actually I'm waiting on my land. I'm actually renting this house for $50,000.
$50,000? You head boy, you crazy, you mad, you head no good. Why you buy? Look, let me show you the light. Come with me.
Come on down to Fabulous Homes today. Pay $50,000 every month for 36 months or until you reach 50% of your house costs. Move in after 75% of the cost has been paid.
This is wonderful. Let's go. Sign me up.
Alright, let me go and dash away your landlord.
To explore our home ownership program, check our Facebook page for more information or come down to our office at Avalon Friendship.
Hey, Chinese, thanks, man. Thanks a lot.
You got through?
Yes.
Call us at 227-1380 or 615-8740. Fabulous Homes International Realty, changing tenants into homeowners.
At Fabulous Homes, we bring your dreams to life.
Welcome back. Now let's take a look at what's happening in the region and around the world. The United States is considering loosening sanctions on Venezuela so Chevron Corporation can pump oil in the country if Caracas takes steps towards restoring democracy, the Wall Street Journal has reported. Under the proposed deal, the Biden administration would ease some sanctions in exchange for Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro resuming talks with the political opposition on the conditions needed to hold free and fair elections in 2024, the newspaper reported on Wednesday, citing people familiar with the proposal. U.S. officials said the deal had not been finalized and could fall through if Maduro's government did not resume negotiations with opposition parties, according to the report. The deal would pave the way for Chevron and U.S. oil services companies to resume exports of Venezuelan oil to the global market amid spiraling energy prices worldwide. Energy experts have cautioned that Venezuela's oil supplies could have a limited effect on the prices as the country's production has plummeted after years of economic crisis, mismanagement, and sanctions. Venezuela's oil industry has been under tough U.S. sanctions since 2019, when the Trump administration and Western allies declared opposition leader Juan Guaido the country's legitimate leader following elections marred by voting rigging allegations. Internationally, outraged depositors, at least two of them armed, have stormed three commercial banks across Lebanon amid a wave of holdups triggered by a national financial meltdown. Al Jazeera's Zain Budur reports.
They opened fire at bank branches. Others managed to get inside. Some were armed. Lebanon has seen a wave of holdups in recent weeks by depositors, angry and desperate to get their savings. Informal capital controls have been imposed by banks since the economy began to collapse 3 years ago.
They are demanding their rights. They have to give it to them. Rights should not be wasted. People are oppressed. Isn't it enough? It is enough.
Depositors' unions have declared war against the banks. They're promising to continue to support people in their attempts to forcibly retrieve their savings. The economic and financial meltdown has stripped the local currency of its value and caused inflation.
I need my money. I need to live. I cannot beg for my money to live because I don't have a work. Me or my husband. Yeah.
The Banking Association says the state and the central bank should be blamed for the crisis since banks lent money to the state which hasn't returned it. But many see it differently, especially because of the close connection between the political and business elite, including the banking sector.
Banks are responsible to get our money back. Let them sell their assets, the properties they have. Let them get the money from their board of directors.
There's anger at the central bank as well for indirectly endorsing bank restrictions through circulars that devalue deposits when they are withdrawn. The World Bank says Lebanon's authorities operated a giant Ponzi scheme and misused and misspent people's savings over the past 30 years. And despite the worsening crisis, they haven't come up with a recovery plan or accept to incur any of the financial losses. Among those demanding their deposits, independent first-time MP Cynthia Zarazir, who said she needed money for a surgery. It's a story that is heard time and time again from an increasingly desperate population. Zana Khuder, Al Jazeera, Beirut.
The race to green energy is coming too quickly for some oil-rich developing nations. Nigeria is Africa's biggest exporter of oil, and it is not ready to let go of its huge reserves that have fueled its consumption and economic growth for more than half a century, Al Jazeera's Ahmad Idris reports.
This offshore rig pumps oil and gas off the coast of Nigeria. For more than 60 years, petroleum has been the pillar of its economy. And for many here, life without oil is simply unimaginable.
We know for sure that even by 2050, fossil fuel will still account for about 58% of energy production in the world. That means that fossil fuel is not going to go away, but it's going to be converted to much more cleaner fuel. And that is really our focus.
Petroleum contributes more than half of Nigeria's budget and more than 90% of its foreign exchange earnings. Experts say ditching it could devastate the economy. The World Bank says Nigeria's dependence on oil is greater than that of many other major producers.
More than half of Africa's 1.3 billion people have no access to power. Here in Nigeria, the figure is more than 45%. Officials here say they want to increase access to electricity, especially by exploiting the country's oil and gas resources to encourage growth.
Industry experts say Africa's oil will still find a ready market on the continent, even if the rest of the world shuts its doors.
Africa needs energy. We are not selling energy outside because we don't need it. We are selling energy outside because we have misplaced priorities.
Nigeria wants to be seen as playing its part in reducing global warming. 2 years ago, the government declared 2020 to 2030 as a decade of gas, a 10-year period to shift focus from oil and more to natural gas as a cleaner transition fuel. But that doesn't mean the country will abandon its 37 billion barrels of crude oil reserves altogether. Ahmed Idris, Al Jazeera, Port Harcourt.
And finally, while some European countries like Finland have closed their borders to Russian tourists, others like Germany are offering those who refuse to fight in the Ukraine war the chance to apply for asylum. More than 60,000 Russians entered the EU in the week after President Vladimir Putin announced partial mobilization. Al Jazeera's Steph Wesson reports.
Konstantin Tarkus crossed the border from St. Petersburg to Finland 2 days after Vladimir Putin's mobilization order, just before the country decided to stop Russians with tourist visas from entering.
We personally, we never supported this, what our government is doing. I think it was mobilization, which was like final push for us. Ideally, we want to go to Netherlands because that's where people like us would feel comfortable.
Because of sanctions, it's been difficult for Russians to enter the European Union. Hundreds of thousands have gone to Georgia, Turkey or Kazakhstan. The German government offered Russians who don't want to fight in Ukraine the option of applying for asylum.
If you would have to join a war in which you would have to commit crimes against humanity, and you don't want that and you leave and you would be highly punished, then also that is a ground for protection in Europe as a whole, actually, not only in Germany.
Europe is divided on how to treat the many thousands of Russians who are leaving the country. Now they run the risk of being sent to Ukraine to fight. Some countries like Germany and France see their departure as an opportunity to weaken Putin. Finland and the Baltic states say they're worried about security. Mark Romankov left Russia at the start of the war last February and applied for asylum in Germany. He warns Europe against offering Russians asylum, in part because Germany is now housing more than 1 million Ukrainian refugees.
The problem is that most of them are still pro-Russian people. And what they will do, they will fight with the Ukrainians, they will fight with the Europeans, but those who come, they need to go through a very, very strict process of distinguishing who you are.
Konstantin understands the concerns but appeals to Europe to let Russians enter.
I would think that if Europe would allow this, it will be a huge loss for Russia and maybe for Putin regime, and it will impact how soon this war will end.
Trying to come up with a unified response, the European Commission said claims for asylum must be considered on a case-by-case basis, but called on airlines and border agents to thoroughly check all Russians wanting to travel to Europe. Step Fasten, Al Jazeera, Berlin.
And that is it for today's regional and international news. Here now is your 3-day weather forecast. And that is all for this edition of Channel 2's Headline News Updates. Tune in on Friday at 5:30 p.m. for another episode. Be sure to subscribe, like, and follow us on Facebook and YouTube. Until then, please take care of yourself and each other.